What comes to mind when someone says Odyssey? G7, G9, expensive high-end gaming monitors, right? Meet their little brother. So up until November of last year, I was daily driving a 27-inch Dell 75Hz IPS monitor, which decided to commit suicide during a thunderstorm, something that Johannesburg is quite famous for. Luckily, the insurance paid out my claim and I was left with this decision to make. Replace my Dell with either the exact same model or newer, more expensive model and still be stuck limited to a 75Hz refresh rate. Which would have been fine if I hadn't upgraded to a laptop with a 144Hz display and realized just what a difference it makes in basically anything that moves on your screen. Or the obvious choice, find something better. But, and this is a big but, while still remaining within or close to my budget of roughly $200 US. Now I know that for that kind of money there are quite a few options to choose from on Amazon, but monitors and actually anything remotely computer or gaming related for that matter are really expensive in South Africa. It quickly became apparent that 27-inch 144Hz was not going to happen within my budget, but I was quite skeptical about going down to a 24-inch display, although it ticked all the boxes except for size-wise of course, as a 27-inch monitor just felt pretty well balanced between screen size and pixel density. Now, before you blow up the comment section with the age-old fight of 27-inch and up is only for 1440p and up, and 24-inch is the perfect size for 1080p gaming, blah blah blah, I decided to go to my nearest computer shop with an open mind and opinion ready to be changed. I sat down in front of a 24-inch monitor and was amazed by the difference 3 inches made to image clarity at 1080p. Can you believe it? Thousands of users on forums were actually right. The rest is history and I came home with this, the Samsung Odyssey CRG5 24-inch gaming monitor. And to be honest, I didn't even know that this monitor, which was released back in 2019, even existed at all. But it says it's part of the Odyssey range, a range of monitors that's quite reputable when it comes to gaming monitors. So I figured it's worth a shot as it fit neatly within my budget, coming in at the equivalent of 180 American moolah. So what's this monitor all about? It's a 24-inch VA panel display, rocking a resolution of 1920 by 1080 at an aspect ratio of 16 by 9. It supports AMD FreeSync Premium and has a maximum refresh rate of 144Hz, which seems slow by today's standards, but it's without a doubt much better than 60 or 75Hz, and you won't need a $1,000 GPU to be able to take advantage of that refresh rate when gaming either. It's always a good idea to match your monitor with your system's capabilities, and 144Hz is a really good middle ground between absolute value for money and performance. And the constant release of new high-end, high-resolution, high-refresh rate monitors should drive the pricing of mid to high refresh rate 1080p monitors in an even more favorable direction for mid-range gamers. And no need to worry about your NVIDIA GPU not supporting FreeSync, AMD's take on G-Sync, as all G-Sync compatible NVIDIA GPUs, which should go back all the way to the GTX 650 Ti Boost, support AMD FreeSync. This monitor is curved with an 1800R curve rating. You might be thinking that a 24-inch curved monitor is pointless, but being a VA panel, that curve drastically reduces the viewing angle washout that VA panels are famous for and gets the monitor's viewing angle to 187 degrees on both vertical and horizontal planes, which is pretty much on par with that of an IPS display. The monitor boasts a contrast ratio of 3000 to 1, which is considerably higher than IPS panel offerings in the same price range, offering deeper blacks, brighter whites, and an overall more pronounced relation between the brightest and darkest of tones. Unfortunately, Being a VA panel, that contrast ratio comes at the cost of the monitor's response time, which comes in at 4 milliseconds grey to grey, but it's not as noticeable to the average gamer's eye as you might think. Some of the higher end Odyssey monitors, such as the G7, have gotten the response time down to 1 millisecond grey to grey, which is on par with an IPS display, although still being a VA panel. But that performance does come at quite a bit more price-wise. It has a peak brightness of 250 nits, which almost sounds candle-like compared to the latest high-end HDR displays. But I can assure you that there's no shortage of brightness and clarity once you're locked in behind it for long gaming sessions. Just to give you an idea of its brightness, I'm running the monitor at 43% brightness, as I would need to go get my Ray-Bans out going any higher than that. The monitor does come with an adaptive contrast setting, which should aid in on-screen clarity in highly lit up areas, but I found it just going too bright for my use case and setup environment. It's got a 72% NTSC color gamut, which translates to 99% sRGB, which is pretty color accurate for a monitor in this price class and won't give you any color issues whilst gaming or doing some content creation. As someone that is used to only IPS displays and still daily driving a laptop with a quite high-end IPS display, I actually quite like the color vibrance and contrast that the CRG5 offers. Input-wise, you get one DisplayPort 1.2 as well as two HDMI 1.4 ports, which should be more than enough to get your PC, laptop and gaming console connected. And for those worried about the older DisplayPort and HDMI versions, DisplayPort 1.2 is rated for up to 1440p at 144Hz or 4K at 60Hz, and HDMI 1.4, although having lower bandwidth capabilities than DisplayPort 1.2, is also rated for up to 1440p at 144Hz and then 4K at 30Hz, which should tell you that you'll have no problem in running 1080p at 144Hz. And no need to stress should your GPU boast newer DisplayPort or HDMI versions, as they are backwards compatible with their older versions. On the back of the monitor, you'll also find a 3.5mm headphone jack, as well as a small barrel power connector that delivers power to the monitor via a small external 35-watt power supply, which contributes to the thin and sleek design of the monitor, as there's no need to cater for it on the inside of the frame. The power supply does come with quite long cables that make cable management a breeze. The stand has got a quite typical Samsung Odyssey styling to it, offering sleek looks and sturdy support for your monitor. Unfortunately, it only offers tilt adjustment, which I find to be more than adequate for my application, but could be a problem for someone needing height or swivel adjustment as well. The monitor, including stand, weighs in at 3.3 kilograms or roughly 7 pounds for our Imperial friends, which makes it quite easy to set up and maneuver. The power switch and menu controls have all been combined into what Samsung calls the jog, J-O-G, or however you're supposed to pronounce it, button, located at the lower left corner of the rear of the screen or on your right hand side when facing the screen during regular use. The button does take some getting used to, but once you get the hang of it, it's quite simple to operate. Included in the box with the already mentioned components, you'll find a quick start guide, some warranty documents, a pretty useless driver CD, and a HDMI cable. Thus, you will need to supply your own DisplayPort cable should you plan on connecting the CRG5 via DisplayPort, as Samsung couldn't be bothered to include the most likely to be used display cable. So here I am playing some F1 2022. Apologies in advance if my driving is a bit off. I'm trying not to concentrate too hard to prevent me from forgetting to actually speak while playing. I'm not that big of a talking while playing games type of person, unless I am shouting at either useless AI or some douchebag online. Almost forgot to change gears as well, but I've got the camera set up at about a 45-degree angle to my left rear, about 2 meters or 6 feet from the screen, and you'll see that the viewing angle isn't bad at all. I believe you're still getting a quite clear picture. I've now basically got the camera set up straight next to me, So imagine standing next to someone playing games on the system. That's the viewing angle that you'll probably be getting, and it's still decent. I really can't complain about this being a VA panel and not an IPS panel. Haven't had any troubles with viewing angle, haven't had any trouble with color correctness, if that's the correct term to use. I play games on the system, I do some content creation, and no problems at all. The monitor at the time of filming was available for $165 on Amazon, or roughly $240, $60 more than I paid for it 3 months back in South Africa. Price-wise, it's competing with the LG Ultra Gear 24GN600, Asus TUF Gaming VG249Q1A, Acer Nitro 27-inch, and AOC C24G1A gaming monitors on Amazon. Whilst in South Africa, your other options at its current pricing are most likely to be the ViewSonic VX2458, Samsung Odyssey G3 27-inch, Dell S2422HG, as well as the LG Ultra Gear 24GN600. The Odyssey CRG5 remains a firm competitor for a 1080p gaming monitor at its current pricing, but it was a no-brainer at the $180 price tag that I paid for it in November last year, as you could really only find trying to be a gaming monitor 75Hz display at that price point. Add a few dollars and you're even more spoiled for choice on Amazon, as 165Hz and 27-inch offerings from top brands enter the chat. This shows what impact pricing can have on the monitor you buy at the end of the day. My best advice for anyone looking to buy a new monitor is to be patient and be on the lookout for sales, as a few dollars off can get you a really good monitor at a really good price. And that sounds like a value for money option to me. And don't be afraid to buy a monitor that's been on the market for a year or two already, as it'll probably have more reviews for you to consider when deciding which one to spend your hard-earned dollars on, and more likely than not be selling at reduced prices, as retailers are looking to clear stock before newer models arrive on the shelves. So, the Samsung Odyssey CRG5 24-inch gaming monitor. Is it worth your money or not? At around $160, give or take 10 or 20 depending on your country's market, it should definitely be a monitor to consider, as it offers pretty decent price to performance. At $200 and beyond, well, when it prices itself into a segment where you're absolutely spoiled for choice and better off buying the best monitor that fits your budget on the day. That's it for today. Hope you enjoyed this review. Remember to hit the like button and subscribe for more mid-range gaming. See you in the next one.